Okay, I'm going to turn this down.
Said the broadcast is live.
The broadcast is live. It's not live here. Okay, it's not working in YouTube yet. We must have a delay.
I'll check too.
We are waiting for me in YouTube.
That's funny.
We are live.
Hey.
Except not in YouTube. Weird.
There you go. We are. I see it breathing together.
You see it in YouTube? Because I'm not yet.
Yeah. Hang on. Let me actually click it.
Okay.
Yeah, we are.
There we are.
Voices.
It's been so long since I've done this. I don't know how anymore.
I just took
So, you like my my hangy thing that I taped up to the door of the closet?
Love that. That's great.
And we have Hank
with the feather. And the other little friend in the back.
He's the one I've been posing on all the gongs in the living room. I was in just cleaning out the bathroom and found a closet to put the toilet paper, and I'm like, oh, and there's a skeleton in the closet.
Jodi.
I think I'll get him out.
That's great.
Robin, you need to name him. So it's Hank. So for anybody who listens, there's 4 people listening. Welcome. Thank you. I know it's been a forever while, and I do have I don't have an Ethernet cable, so hopefully this will work.
I can keep checking. It looks like it is. You need me to check anywhere else?
No, I'm just looking on YouTube. It looks like it's working. Yeah, if we phase, we phase in. I mean, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
So, Veronica and Andee and I decided that we were going live to breathe. I know for me, when I get as pissed off as I am about certain circumstances in our world in Texas, I stop breathing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that is the most important thing. Actually, really, is to do.
Is to breathe.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm going to do is open with the heart math bowls, because they're right over here.
Okay.
And I even dragged a gong in here. So let me change the sound, and we will all do some breathing together. Okay. So for a moment, come out of your... Why are we echoing? Come out of your heads and put a hand on your heart chakra and heart area. And as the air conditioner is on behind me, we can listen to the sound of air, which is how we're supposed to sound as we're breathing. And just start focusing in the lungs and the heart. And just notice how you're feeling, whether or not you are feeling. From the sacred space of your heart, notice what's going on up in the brain without going there. And also notice what's going on in your gut brain, in your stomach area. Just coming down into our hearts to do a check-in for a moment with our body, mind, spirit, and emotions. As you breathe and as you slow your breath down, find something that you are grateful for. It's one of the skills of dealing with the kind of things going on in the world, is to be able to go into gratitude for something. And just breathe into that frequency of gratitude and let that activate the heart cells that activate with breath and frequency. breathe this frequency through your entire body, around your body. And if you have any extra to offer up in service in the frequency world, do that. Down to the gut brain. I'm going to let Andee talk about that because you're really skilled in that, but I'm going to actually play the gong that's over here, which is the note of the gut brain. So we have heart, head, gut. Take a few more breaths as I change the sound setting and come on back into your room. I needed that.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Smudge. We're doing smudge. Just because we're a funny looking piece of sage. So we're just going to lift some of the global PTSD off of ourselves so we can get the witness and the watchers and the frequency holders for just a moment. Hank has the feather. For anybody who knows me on Facebook, I found the skeleton in the closet, so now he's playing gongs and hanging out. Got to have a little bit of levity in today's world. So, Carly, Las Vegas. Hey, guys. Hey, Debbie and Gina and Caroline. Is it Caroline? And Andee and Veronica. It's been a long time.
Yes, it has. It's good to be back.
Yeah. I know. I tried to get on Johnny's birthday party, and of course, like a dodo, I had gone to stay somewhere and forgot to ask her if she had internet, and she had intermittent internet. It was just like, oh my God, no. Do you know that Mac computers don't work without internet?
You're all right.
Yeah, you are right.
I did not like learning it that way. So Andee,
Yes, ma'am.
Veronica and I have been well trained in heart math with the head-heart connection, and you have been exquisitely trained in the gut brain.
Yes, ma'am.
You want to share a little bit about to expand our focus when we're doing breathing on that and what you've learned?
So let's start with the nervous system and its activation, right? So say our baseline level of functioning is here in the sympathetic nervous system and everything's hunky-dory, calm as a kitten. But we get activated, something happens, right? And we talk about triggers, but I like to talk about energy. So I'm like, the energy gets activated, right? And we either go up in our energy level into fight or flight, or if we can't run away and we can't fight it, there's something that keeps us from doing either, then our bodies go down. Still in the parasympathetic nervous system, but we go into faint, where the body just can't even stay conscious.
Yeah.
Flag, which is people pleasing as we know it, appease and please to try and get out of the situation. To freeze, where it's the deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
Or to fail, where we like dissociate and our like nervous system collapses, right? One of the things that can activate it, even if we're not consciously aware of it, is our gut brain, right? So there's the vagus nerve that goes, it's the only nerve line that we have, is that cord of nerves that goes down into our actual guts. There's like a piece of it that branches out into every single organ, and it's gathering all that information from our organs all the time, right into our guts, right? So when we talk about, I have a gut feeling, or, like, I don't know, like my gut just senses, it really does.
Yeah.
That is an actual thing. And it brings that information up. And the interesting thing that they've discovered is that our gut knows before our eyes know, before our brain knows. So if we have something that's going to activate that, say we're walking down a path and everything's cool, we're doing fine, all of a sudden we feel the hackles on the back of our neck go up and our heart starts racing, and we're like looking around trying to figure out what it is that's activated us, right? What made our energy system go nuts? And we're looking, there's a snake crossing the path or something, there's something potentially dangerous that we need to pay attention to, right? Before we even see it, our gut senses it. And so it sends that information directly up, and we get that autonomic response. And so our energy systems start to activate in order to give us the energy to either run away or to fight it. And so it steals energy from different areas. One is our frontal lobes there, because we don't need higher mathematics. We don't need a lot of analysis. If the bear is chasing us, we just need to go find a tree and climb it, right? We don't need any like higher thoughts on that, just like escape, right? We don't really need to digest our last meal if we're going to be the next meal, right? So it shuts down our digestive system, right? So all of that is connected in that vagus nerve because it's going into the digestive system and it's helping shut that down, because we only got so much energy in our body. We have to send it and ship it to like the biceps and the triceps and the glutes to get us pumping and moving. But what happens if we can't do that? What happens if we can't go up into fight or flight, like the situation doesn't allow it? Well, then we end up with chronic problems with our digestion, right? Because that vagus nerve is affected. And so all of that is tied in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard from a lot of people in what's gone on this week talking about how they're feeling stuff right in the gut.
Yep.
Like a sucker punch, right?
Yes, because we're all feeling what happened. I'm actually hearing in the heart bowl the collective grief.
Yeah.
And I can hear it. There's a squeal in the bowl that didn't clear because there's so much trauma out there. And the head part of it, it's like whatever people's heads start saying, if we can just drop and witness, in clear breath, I think we can get a better perspective.
Yeah. And they talk about, that secondary trauma. First of all, the brain doesn't know that it's not happening to us either. So it's reacting. And then the secondary trauma is where we're actually taking it on. And I was sharing with Jodi earlier that Brene Brown's husband's a pediatrician. And he said, because he was talking to her, because she was talking on her show, and this was before all this happened, how she would just take on, she's so empathetic, she would just take on that trauma. And he's like, you know what? Think of the analogy of a fence. You can walk up to the fence, you can reach over the fence, but you can't cross that gate because then you can't be of service. So it's bearing witness to what we're feeling, what's being activated, the grief, the fear, the anxiety, the human emotions, like bearing witness to that. And then yet at the same time, reminding myself that for me to be of service, I don't want to take it on. I want to bear witness. I want to radiate compassion. And I also want to then like sit with the heart. It's like, and how can I be of service? And so we're all in this major grief, collective grief once again. And I have to monitor myself so I'm not just constantly scrolling, what's the next feed? What's the next feed? Because then I'm continuously feeding that brain and that fear. And I'm like, whoa, let me check in here. Let me some self-love, self-care. Let me, radiate compassion and prayers. And then I'm going to be able to then take whatever action I need to take in this moment. For me, it's like the breath and then dropping into my heart and then reminding myself that right here, right now, I am safe, but I'm also bearing witness to the grief and the sorrow, and just the unimaginable of the loss of innocence.
Well, and I like that, Jodi, that you called this, breathing, because that is one of the primary ways that we release that toxin, right? We release that emotional toxin from our system is through our breath. And, and our heart is tied so much to our breathing. When we breathe in, our heart speeds up just a little bit. And when we breathe out, it slows down just a little bit. And if we can slow down that breath out, we can get our nervous system to relax and come out of that triggered state, out of that activated state. So that's just a beautiful way of doing it,
Yeah. Dr. Andee Weil has that 4-7-8 breath technique, and you can find it on YouTube. And he says only do 4 breaths, which I don't know why, where you breathe into the count of 4, you hold for 7, breathe out for 8. And he says do that 4 times. Same thing. Let me connect with my breath. Let me connect in my body. Let me then allow that, calming to happen in the moment.
Yeah. Do you want to lead us in that, Veronica?
Sure, absolutely.
That'd be really neat.
Yeah, so just take a moment. We're only going to do 4, and just allow yourself, if you feel comfortable, to close your eyes. And we're going to focus on breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. So the inhalation will be in through the nose and the exhalation out through the mouth. And just notice how you feel, first of all, in this moment. Just notice what you're feeling. Name it. And notice where you're feeling it. And let us breathe in. And before I start, I'm going to do the first round I'll do the counting, then I'll just keep leading you. So let's breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe in, hold, out. Breathe in, hold, out. One more. Breathe in, hold, out. And just open your eyes. Just a pause. And I always put my hand on my heart usually, yeah. No matter what, I always put my hand on my heart with my breathing.
Yeah. HeartMath has shown that the hand on the heart reminds our inner children for a moment that we're safe.
Yeah.
There's a safety, with getting out of this and coming down here. Yeah, that was nice.
And what I share with the kids, I go, because we do the hand on heart, left hand on heart, right hand on belly when we anchor, I go, same thing. When I put my hand on my heart, because my practice has been so consistent, I already know, we're dialing it down. Like I'm actually taking that myself, dialing it down. So it's just like my brain's like, okay.
This is what we're doing. Yeah.
Well, we get entrained. We get entrained with the habit of hand on heart means breath and safe.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really important as far as emotions to really be able to name them. But also what I teach children is like, so if you could see it, what would it look like? If there's texture, what would it feel like? And to let them know that emotions aren't just singular either. You could have a lot of things, you take different colors and you put them in water. I might have sadness and mad at the same time. Like my kindergartner the other day, she goes, Miss Veronica, I'm sad and I'm mad. I'm like, oh, like, the fact that she could say that, and then to tell me what she was feeling, and then watching her then literally take charge, because somebody took her crayons, but literally take charge for her breathing, but to honor her feelings, for her to name them, and then she was able then to dial it down herself. It was just powerful to watch a kindergartner do that, just to have that tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed the day the shooting happened, I actually had to go run errands in the morning, and I have been predictively empathic in the past, and it's getting, I don't know whether to call it better or worse. because I could feel the breach in the quantum field before this happened. Whatever was going on with this young man, I could already feel it, and couldn't drive. I mean, I almost got in 2 accidents in the space of 15 minutes because it was like I was not in the timeline. I was somewhere else.
Mm.
And then I'm driving to get from one post office to the other, and a dove kills itself on my windshield. And I'm just like,
Oh,
WTF, guys. I mean, it was like, what is going on out here? I mean, I know Texas is a different frequency, but what is going on?
yeah.
And then when I heard about it, I'm like, oh crap, I felt that before it happened. And I don't know if any of you are like that out there, listening to this now or later. It's extremely disconcerting to have that level of empathic skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm noting, I mean, I've always had them, but they're getting stronger now with what goes on in the world. So I'm just going to recommend we all pay attention.
Yes.
Because we get the messages, even if we think we can't. And boy, I got them.
And the key thing was what you just said, pay attention.
Pay attention.
All right. Dr. Dan Siegel says you monitor and you modify, but a lot of people are not paying attention. They're not aware, like I said, like a lot of people run in red lights and they're really aggressive and they're not aware there's their own internal and whatever else is happening collectively that as you're saying, Andee, that we do feel. We feel that before anything starts getting processed, which is, so yeah. And I find it fascinating too, Jodi, that you are here in Texas now. So it's almost, it's a blessing in disguise. I know it's not good for you.
I don't know about that.
It's not good for you. And I'm knowing high is good for everything that unfolds, but it is, I just found that I just had that download just a second ago and she's here.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because I had lunch. Do any of us get pain in our body before something comes? Yeah, I get spinny. I've been spinning all day with the NRA thing starting, so I'm just like, okay, hang on for the ride,
Yeah.
I spin, and I have trouble focusing on this timeline. It's like, and I'm always asking myself, which one am I awake in? Which one of these lifetime timelines? Forms. Yeah, I'm dizzy all day. Yeah.
I need to ask my mother because she was really dizzy the other day, and I need to see if it was that Tuesday.
That day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Well, it's like we're such sensitive beings, and we've been taught to be up here all the time. And when we can read reality with our entire body, mind, spirit, and emotions, the messages are always there. 2 days, God. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm always asking, is this mine? That's like the very first question.
Yeah, like
and then just tuning in. And then, of course, stewarding extra bowls. I've just been playing more every day. And
I had so much stuff I brought down here. I offloaded bowls to Veronica so she could babysit them. I can't carry this stuff. I'm too old for this.
No, I wouldn't do that.
You got all my gut bowls. You got all the D's.
Yeah. Good ones to have.
Hey, I've got the big D gong. So
yeah, it's been interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been an interesting time here in Texas. I mean, it's like Andee and I were talking about at lunch. It feels radically different here. And, I sitting at that restaurant, which, the menu had more choices of food than I have seen in 15 months.
It was all good, too.
I want that. I want that. I want that. I want that. I want one of all those, and I mean, like, don't even look at the rest. I mean, it was just it was overwhelming. And then I look outside at the parking lot and the people in the restaurant, and I'm like, I haven't seen this many cars probably in the entire time I've been in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Trees, on the other hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
The
was
energies too. So you're coming from that beautiful lake and all the trees, and then the lack of all the energy, and it is. A friend of mine said, he goes, "Man, when I come to the city, it's really dense." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah,
well, and I was, and I mean, I was offloading some of the 4,000 photographs on the phone, so I can take more, and and I'm just like looking at what I put them on backup disc, and what was really interesting to me is the pictures that I reacted to as, oh God, I missed that, was not the lake, it was the trees.
trees, yeah,
It was the trees, because
yeah,
the trees up there, the air in these cities down here is extremely dirty. And we've
mhm,
had a lot of, warning, don't breathe outside. I
yeah,
forgot to.
yeah,
And even if it's dirty air in Arkansas, the trees and the number of trees will
yeah,
clear it enough to go outside and go for a walk, which I can't do here.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, I want my trees back.
Art Matsoon is steady now with the energy of trees. And of course, the tree hugger that I am, I just almost posted saying, the tree hugger that I am just wants to say, I told you so, but I won't, you know?
Exactly.
That
I've been
energy,
talking to trees. I mean, trees were telling me 30 years ago, we all communicate with each other.
yeah,
We're all connected. I mean, this is what
yeah.
they were telling me in Shamanic Journey on the 10 acres I lived on in Wimberley. And I'm like, oh, science has finally caught up.
And that's exactly it. And the mystics are doing the same thing. It's like, yeah, we knew that 1,000, 10, 20, 50,000, 100,000 years ago, right?
I
Yeah,
know, I
and
know.
so we take all of that. So thank you for bringing up the trees because, what can people do? Go for a walk in the trees. Go outside whenever it starts to feel overwhelming. It's not that you're disconnecting, you're actually connecting with yourself in
Yeah,
order to dial it down to,
yeah.
to for self-care first. So then you can be of service in whatever way calls you. But that just getting out in nature for me, like walking this morning with the hawks and the blue herons, it's just like very peaceful. And there's like a fog in the morning because we had cool mornings even though it's hot, and it's just like, okay, just being in that spaciousness but in that energy dance. And because I had the adoration too with nature, there's that exchange of beauty and presence and in this moment, and then I'm able to hear clearer. So what is my next step? How can I serve? What do I need to do? And I'll donate, or I've offered my services here. And so for everybody, it's like that piece of like, oh, like let me just step outside. Let me breathe and dial it down. Let me bear witness, and then let me just a few moments of that, whatever you need.
Hmm. Yeah, and in suburbia, there's everything's close-ups rather than expanse. The lake
Yeah,
was very much the expanse,
yeah.
and I mean, I left this house for 2 nights. We had a hellacious rainstorm in between. That was fun,
Yes.
and came back, and Robin has two. I call them hibiscus trees outside. They're the bushes that are as tall as
Oh,
trees,
nice.
and they went from zero flowers to both of them in full bloom while I was gone. I don't know what they were doing while they were having fun while I was gone. Sun and water, and and to come home to that, and just go outside because they're taller than me, and to
Yeah,
look up into a hibiscus butt, under the underneath of hibiscus in the morning with the sun coming through it.
yeah,
It's been
yeah.
really cool. I mean,
It's
so
beautiful.
I'm very focused on the close-ups of flowers instead of the expanse of the lake.
Mm,
And that's my sanity when the world is like it is. Let's
yeah,
go say hi to nature. And so
yeah.
I recommend that to all of us. Just go outside.
Yeah, go outside. And then there's a poem I'm going to read. I don't know who John Rodell is. I can't remember who I swiped this from on Facebook. And we'll keep talking, but at the end, I like to read it because it's really about being kind,
Hmm.
what we need, right now. So when you're ready for it, you just let me know. But it's just like the things that we can do.
Hmm.
Things are so big, and we want change now, or we feel out of control. But it's like, what's the one thing in this moment can I offer myself and can I offer others? And his thing
Yeah.
is, kindness.
Well, and there's a lot of, the word I'm hearing is snark, around whether or not prayers work.
Yeah.
And we need a hell of a lot more than prayers right now. And when I look at the creation of reality, all the shamanic training I've had and all of the even the scientific training I've had, where frequency and sound is the beginning of creation.
Mhm.
And all of my native teachers have taught me that you think it, you speak it, you create it. It
Mhm.
starts there. And
Yeah.
Gaia has a sound creation. I guess they call it a show. It's a series they started, and I'm watching each one about 5 times before I go on to the next one because it's some heavy duty science and sacred geometry and somewhat over my head, and yet I get it. And so what I do and my purpose here is to broadcast frequency
Mhm.
into the field,
Yeah.
into the field. That's all.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here to do. And thank goddess I get to do it with music. I really get to do it with music. Mr. Shockwave, I am down here in Texas, not too far from where you are. I think you're in two more. Oh, that's great. Two Houston high schools were on lockdown. Anyone can pray. Yeah, my prayer is not coming from a place of religion. I'm not religious. My
Yeah.
prayer is coming from being a hollow bone to broadcast the frequencies that I play into the quantum field. It's a
Yeah.
little much more quantum physics than religion.
Yeah.
To do
But
with
for
that.
those who, like my mother, are religious, it gives them
Mhm.
comfort. So my thing is that it's exactly what you said. For me, it's a shift in consciousness. It is
Yeah.
that energy that I'm now broadcasting. And then also whatever supports, because you hear it from the superintendent. He's like, pray for us. The father that lost his daughter, pray for my wife. She's blaming herself, and so it's like it's holding people. That's when it's just like an energetic like shawl. I grew up Catholic, so Mother Mary.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
still think she's my girl, but she had that. We always saw ourselves like in her sapphire robe. For me, that's what that energy field does. Is I'm going to wrap you, lift you without people knowing it, and it's just like a lighter. It is a lighter frequency, not the begging, beseeching, but the
Yeah. Yeah.
add love. Let me add more love to the
Yeah.
field. Is what
Yeah.
I do.
Well, and I study and have studied Greg Braden's work for
Mhm.
30 some odd years, and he talks about prayer as an active word rather than a begging word.
Yes.
He adds some science to it for that. So that's how I do it. So Andee, how are you dealing with all this?
Well, I've got to say, contact with nature is so incredibly helpful.
Mhm.
I noticed this morning, um, up at sunrise, that the grass was glistening with dewdrops, and the sun was just making them just translucent. It was beautiful. And walking through that, I took off my shoes. I just had to feel the earth on my feet, and I felt
Mhm.
the dew and felt the warm and cool of the soil, where the sun was just on it, warming it up just a little bit, but it's still moist and damp and rich and just smells good. That moment helps
Yeah.
heal.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Do you live near a lake? You
Yeah,
ever
we live over by Louisville's lake,
Okay, yeah, I thought you did. Something
and
about
it's
sacred water. There's a sacred pool in the backyard here, and we found out that the pump isn't working right. So that's why it won't clear itself. It's like, ow, that explains it. It's
love
pretty
water.
good. Yeah, it's good to see water. I pretend it's a lake. I get down on nose level with it. Like, okay, the sun's on it.
And if you don't mind, I also brought a poem. So when we're ready to read poems, I brought an Adrian
Go
Rich
for it,
poem.
God. I didn't. I all of my poetry books are sitting in storage where did I come from? Arkansas, and
Where I come from.
where did I come from? What planet did I drop in here from?
Exactly. It's like, oh, I think I left it in the Andromeda Galaxy. Knowing
I'd like
Jodi.
my spaceship back now so I can. active part. So I don't have anything to read. I'll just
Yeah,
play
if you
music.
want to go, Andee, that'd be great.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, so Adrienne Rich, she passed away not too long ago, like in the last year or so. But she was just an incredible poet, an incredible mind. So one of my favorite of her poems is called Leaflets. And she didn't just sit down and write a poem that she entitled Leaflets. It was like a series of like ongoing thoughts. And this happens to be 5 in the series. And basically she's talking about the connection, person to person.
Yes.
Like that's the important part. Like that's the beauty, and that's where the magic is. So here's Leaflets 5. The strain of being born over and over has torn your smile to pieces. Often I have seen it broken and then remembered and wondered how a beauty so anarch, so ungelded will be cared for in this world. I want to hand you this leaflet streaming with rain or tears, but the words coming clear. Something you might find crushed into your hand after passing a barricade and stuff into your raincoat pocket. I want this to reach you, who told me once that poetry is nothing sacred. No more sacred, that is, than other things in your life. To answer, yes, if life is uncorrupted, then no better poetry is wanted. I want this to be yours, in the sense that if you find and read it, it will be there in you already, and the leaflet then merely something to leave behind, a little leaf in the drawer of a sublet room. What else does it come down to but handing on scraps of paper, little figurines or files, no stronger than the dry clay they are baked in, yet more than dry clay or paper, because the imagination crouches in them. If we needed the fire to remind us that all true images were scooped out of the mud where our bodies curse and flounder, then perhaps that fire is coming to sponge away the scribes and time servers. And much that you would have loved will be lost as well before you could handle it and know it, just as we almost miss each other in the ill cloud of mistrust, who might have touched hands quickly, shared food, or given blood for each other. I am thinking, how can we use what we have to invent what we need?
Wow.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
I don't know what happened. That was beautiful. Will you post once the video's up, will you post the name or a link to it on the YouTube?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Or I'll just come listen to you again on YouTube. I always love hearing new poets too. Oh wow, that was beautiful. So let's just take a breath. Let's breathe that in. Just allow it just to bathe us in that beauty.
Yeah. Shockwave has a question. Did the eclipse or blood moon change the energy or increase awareness? I actually did an event that night in a sweat lodge. I was playing music in a sacred space that did not have air conditioning, and it had been 90 for the week. Just like that was interesting. It took me 3 days to recover. Most of the spiritual leaders that I know talked about how much that night, that moon, the eclipse, how much it knocked most of us. Of just really like, whoa, what do we do next? It gave us a lot of people pause and vortexes and spins, and me being as Heyoka as I am, I actually felt better after it than I did before it. And I noticed that everything was just sort of stuck for a week. There's no movement for a week. And somebody last night in a group that I was running was talking about the astrology for the year or for the 2 months or for whatever is supposed to be really intense. And I'm like, it's been like that since the January of 2020. It hasn't stopped.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think we need to just get used to it.
Like to surf the waves. It really is. Pay attention. Notice when it's yours, not yours. And,
Yep. I was in high school in Southern California on the beach, and we learned I didn't surf, I body surfed, boogie boarded. And, the only way you made it through some of those waves was to dive under, hold your breath, and let it go by.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
surf the wave.
Yeah. Surf the wave.
Yeah. So, Veronica, you have a poem for us.
Yeah, it's just a short poem. Like I said, I don't know. One of my Facebook friends posted it. This could be just a guy on Facebook who wrote it. John Rodell, Roedel. And it doesn't have a title. It just says, when the world goes mad, become wildly kind to everyone. Everyone, everyone, everyone. My love, you can't control much, but you can control how you treat others in these breaking news, heartbreaking times. When nothing feels certain, let your raw kindness be a certainty. Allow your compassion to become a North Star stamped up in the sky for others to follow back home.
Can you read that one more time?
Yeah.
Nice and short.
John Rodell. When the world goes mad, become wildly kind to everyone. 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 My love, you can't control much, but you can control how you treat others in these heartbreaking news, heartbreaking times. When nothing feels certain, let your raw kindness be a certainty. Allow your compassion to become a North Star stamped up in the sky for others to follow back home. Take a breath. Let's breathe that in.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I'm going to stalk him now. I got to find out who that is.
His name sounds familiar. Either that or I've read it on your page before. I'm not sure.
I don't know who it is. I'll go find and repost it too.
Very familiar.
Yeah.
So Gail's saying I look healthier. The house that I moved out of, the saving grace of the house was the lake. The house was toxic as all get out. And it was really interesting the day I left. I was literally getting in the car to drive down here, and the rain was so bad I couldn't get down here. And it was like I never want to go back to that house again, ever. I didn't like the house. The view, the lake TV was spectacular, and I am actually waiting for one that I get to rent when the owners who are realtors find the space that the tenant wants, and it's on a creek. It's on some flat land. It's on a place where we can do a fire ring and bring gongs outside and drum. Things I haven't been able to do for 10 years because suburbia doesn't support that. So it's worth waiting for. Whoops.
And it's interesting you say that because I thought about that today. It's like, boy, I wish we could go drum somewhere and dance and pray up everything,
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Well, and it was so funny because the weekend that they were in a training, I did a shamanic sound training in Arkansas. And when we started talking about the house, my inner child got involved in this. Could I have chickens? That was the first question. And they're like, yes. Ooh, chickens. Can I get a couple of goats to mow the 2 acres? That's a good idea. Okay, what next? Can I get yard cover that's about that tall that blooms? It's time. It blooms pink flowers. You can eat it. You can walk on it. And you never have to mow it. And they're like, we talked about doing that. And I'm like, it was my inner kid was like, okay, what else can I come up with?
Yeah.
And then the next day it was like, there's a fire ring on the creek. Can we drum outside?
Yeah.
Yes, roll the gongs out.
I can feel
I
that.
got to get wheels on all my gong stands now.
Yeah, that would be
And
great.
so it is. We say it so, we see it so. We know it's just,
It's
perfect
timing.
house, perfect sacred space for
It's
the woman
timing.
and yours right there
It's timing.
with the goats.
Timing.
Right. And the chickens.
Well, and okay, so we're all trying to figure out up in Arkansas how to not get bitten by what are those things called? Chiggers. Oh God, they're
Oh,
Oh
horrible.
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So one of my friends owns a couple of ranch properties, and I'm like, "What do you use?" And she said, "Oh God, I can't remember the real name. We used to call them star chickens, guinea fowl."
Oh,
She said, if you have guinea fowl on your land, you do not have chiggers. And one of my first shamanic teachers had guinea fowl all over her land, and they
Uh,
would come up on the window ledge on the outside while we were working, just pew. We'd be like, what are they doing? It would be sort of nice to go full circle back to guinea fowl.
that would be
so
funny.
cool. Yeah.
That'd be cool. Little chigger eaters, yay.
You're too
Oh
funny.
my goodness. Yeah, I today it was funny when I got my Arkansas driver's license and license plates, which was only a couple of months ago. Um, the woman in the place looked at where I was coming from and said, most of the people that are moving to the village are coming from Plano, Texas. I'm like, yeah, I've noticed that.
You're like, there's a reason.
Um,
True that.
and it was weird, because my truck was born in Texas, and she was like, "Ew, I don't have Texas plates."
Like, honey, you're Texas at heart. You'll always be, honey, the truck.
Well, and today I had to call all these text tag places because I'm driving all over the toll freeways. And I'm like, okay, I have an account with you guys, but it was under Texas plates. And I guess I still have my tag in the windshield because they're still reading what I'm
Oh
doing.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Cool.
I'm just like, oh, thank God. Is it okay? I'm from Arkansas.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Well, I guess so. And then the other one is like, well, until you change to Texas. And I'm like, no, sweethart, we're going to keep it in Arkansas.
Yeah. I moved there. I'm just driving here temporarily.
For it.
Getting to hug all my friends. Okay.
Really, they wouldn't care though. They're getting their money,
Well, and that's it. They're getting money from me anyway. It was just like, wait a minute. No, I'm not. The truck's outside going, wait a minute. Oh, no.
I'm here temporarily.
That's right. It's time limited.
I'm grateful, but yeah.
I did come down going, okay, this is the chance with everything in storage to see if moving back down here is what I'm supposed to be doing. And Robin and I talked a few days about that, and I'm just like,
No.
I need to be back in nature.
Yes.
But
remember, you were here as inconvenient and as all the shit that you had to put up with. And I'm sorry, and I'm serious, I'm sorry you had to. But I did think about it, think of all the ceremony you've already done by being back here in Texas.
Yeah.
All the energy, all the reactivation of people, you know. And so it's like in the moment you can't understand why things are happening. And I'm like, isn't that interesting? That Jodi's here while this is happening, and all this has been happening, and you'll have more, So, I mean, I'm sorry for all the other experiences, and I'm more than happy to come help you move. Like once you get to Arkansas, go drive down there and help you. But it's just like, wow, that's interesting,
Yeah, my mover guys who moved the last round into the biggest storage unit, all furniture. They're so funny because I play Tetris in storage units and vehicles.
Right.
And they moved half my stuff over without me interfering with them. And then I'm looking at them going, we are not renting me a fourth storage unit. I'm Tetrising now. And I'm in there like, put that there, put that here, put that here. And he just looks at me and goes, can I hire you?
Exactly. It's a gift. I got that same, I caught my Virgo rising. You're like, oh no, what are y'all doing? And it is that same like, okay.
I know, it's really funny. I've only seen two people better at it than me. One was Mark Hebert, who's in San Antonio, and Steve Daniel, my Didge player. I watched them load a truck for me once, and I'm like, man, they got me beat, not good.
Oh, wow.
It was really
Like, hey, Mark, we need your services right now.
That's right.
Well, and these kids were like, yeah, we'll be able to get you moved down to your new house in one load. And I'm looking at them going, Eric and I filled 2 storage units before you got this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like we got all the boxes and the other ones. It was really funny, it's like Tetris. We'll get Veronica up there and we'll do Tetris.
Oh yeah, we will. Yeah,
it'll go in. We'll make it fit.
Well, and I don't know if I've shown either of you the video. The people that know the house, everybody in the sacred community up there knows the house I'm moving into, and they're all like, "Oh, we don't know if you can fit all 10 gongs in there," and and I'm like, "Okay, I need a video." So I'm looking at the video and I'm going, "Oh, that's a piece of cake. You just don't have furniture in there. You just have gongs and mats."
Yeah.
Move the furniture elsewhere.
Yeah, those tiles were amazing, and that's going to be, the acoustics is going to be amazing.
Oh, I know. I know. Archways and tiles. It'll be fun. And a creek to play on in the backyard. That's even better.
Yeah,
Michelle Brockett. Hey, sweetheart, you're here. So, God, how do we make it almost an hour? I always think it's going to take 5 minutes and then we're going to run out of things to say.
It's just, thank you both, Andee and Jodi, and everybody who's here, because I can't multitask, so I can't go look at YouTube and hear. Just because in the midst of healing, this kind of laughter is actually very healing for us. It helps me with my frequency and clearing and just, connecting, that connection with people. Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
So I think I'm going to close with some more music.
Good. Yay.
Let me get my mouse to work. Come on, mouse. Thank you.
And always good to see you, Andee. I just absolutely love you.
Just having some space with you again. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we're going to do some audio. I think I'm going to play gong over here. You can't see it. Sorry. I guess I could turn it, couldn't I?
We're doing the panorama.
How's that?
That was great, Jodi.
My laptop is on top of a box, and that's what I just moved. So this is my little gong that is comprised of broken Tibetan bowls with beautiful Buddhist etchings on it. Okay, Carla, what did you just send me? I just got it. Carla, Ms. Las Vegas, what did you just? Okay, hang on, let me get the sound changed. Okay, audio. Or we're all gonna echo.
Echo. I'll see you June 11th. If I don't see you sooner, this Sunday is my niece's graduation party, because I know you've got something in Richland Hills. I'm like, because Breck emailed me, but I'm looking forward to being in your presence.
Sabrina and I get to combine gongs and play. So I'll have 3 of mine, and I don't know how many she's bringing. She had 3 last time.
Yeah.
And
that's like it'd be terrible for me to skip out on my niece's party. Gotta go by. I should just grab her and bring her.
That's a good idea.
That'd be lovely.
Wouldn't that be lovely? She would probably love it,
Okay, hang on. Okay, Carly, did you send me a poem to read? Did you send me your poem? Hang on, I'm Where'd you send it? There it is.
Oh, cool.
Ooh. So you wrote this. We're ending with this. Excuse me if I butcher it. It's really small print. When the pervasive energy of chaos, confusion, disinformation, and senseless acts of violence encapsulates you in a thick fog of despair, take a moment, look around. Notice and acknowledge the beauty you see. It is real. They are real. Do not look away. Rather than avert your eyes, soften them, soften the focus. What do you now see? How do the images make you feel? The breath slows and becomes profound. The physical body relaxes, dropping its guard of protective armor. At last, the etheric body is permitted to shine, not unlike the halo symbolized in religious iconography. With this daily practice, we begin to remember with mindful intention. For most, the willingness to reach out and help, even at the cost of our own lives, is instinctual. There is no hesitation. We don't take the time to decide whether or not we like someone, we just do it. It is the doing it that comes from a place of spontaneous compassion. Somewhere in our hearts, we know that morally it is the right thing to do. That basic instinct comes from a place of unconditional love, a phenomenon greater than the individual. It is the collective one, the I am, the all that is. These are turbulent times, the end times, which are hurling humans, some kicking, screaming, and just plain going ballistic, into a new age. We remember epic stories told about the House of Ram. Now we must say goodbye to the fishermen as the planet moves into the house of an intrepid host that offers water and assurance that life will continue and evolve. Poor Ganymede, he clings firmly to the life giving urn that is spurned by some frightened souls on this earth. Their fear of evolving into more advanced, compassionate, and loving human beings is such a powerful energetic vibration that it's menacing. Negative force reverberates into space and beyond. Because of these hangers on, the universe struggles to give birth to a new mythology. The good news is that the majority of us want to move forward. We want peace and reconciliation. We want all our children to grow up as healthy, happy, educated, and well adjusted adults. Taking back control through conscious meditation energetically centers and balances the individual as well as the world. The individual and collective gather their spiritual strength and voice. Citizens are coming together to actualize a common dream, one of peace, thoughtful purpose, and mutual respect for all life. Carla, that is magnificent.
Yeah,
Thank
wow.
you. Thank you. I'm sorry if I butchered the words. It's my
Wow,
first time seeing it. Thank you, sweet one.
wow,
I love your poetry.
powerful.
And with your permission, I'll post it too,
Yeah.
because this is gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So, thank you
So,
all.
Thank
and
you.
with the world that seems like it's on fire, let us love each other with sparkling eyes, meet strangers as if they're friends we haven't not in this lifetime met, and to the best of our ability, just
Yeah.
stay present,
Yeah.
and be that light and love, and let the emotions flow. But I really do believe kindness right now. If you can just look somebody in the eye who's feeling scared and they just see your eyes sparkling, you dissolve that false veil of separation. So thank you, Jodi. Thank you, Andee. Thank you, Carla, for that poem. Thank you, everybody. Remember, mindfulness is about being present, not perfect, but a lot of more love and a lot more light and kindness will make a difference.
Love you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
And for our babies, all of our babies, let's keep them safe.
Yeah.
I teach